against the clock. Go, don't stop. We against the clock. Head hell high to the north. Run up on me, you can get squished. Big dogs jumping on the porch. Clock ticking, leave it on the field, on the court. Do this for fun and for sport. Team going long and you coming up short. Crossed up, make them touch the source. Ain't no turnovers, we hitting on fourth.
Welcome back to Expert Insight. Now we're talking about the power of education and leadership, classroom transformation, and student engagement. And no one does it better than my guest, Stephen Boyd. He's an award-winning scholar, educator, motivational speaker of 25 years of experience as a teacher, administrator, and trainer. Known as a student engagement agent, Stephen is on a mission to help educators turn struggling classrooms into thriving ones. He, as he puts it, is transforming classrooms from outrageous to outstanding. And let me tell you, he is fired up about it. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, it's great having you.
Yes.
So from outrageous to
Outstanding.
outstanding.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to get into that. One of the things, I want you to give us a little bit of your background of your education and leadership. You've dedicated your career to transforming education. So what was your defining moment, when you realized that this was your calling?
My defining moment was the rejection of my school leader, about maybe 12 to 13 years ago. At that time, the state of Maryland was proposing that school districts come up with more progressive policies and move away from zero tolerance discipline policies. And when you examine the data overwhelmingly said that these infractions started in the classroom. Classroom disruption, disrespect, insubordination. So we're not talking about knives, guns, weapons, drug possession, anything of that nature. And these were the overwhelming data points statewide. And so the state board wanted the local school boards to come up with more progressive policies. Well, when you really examine that data, all those infractions start in the classroom.
In the classroom.
And so therefore, it was my idea that I put forward to the leadership at the time, say, hey, we need to do classroom management training. It was completely rejected. But that rejection was actually a new direction for me. And so therefore, I went to some classroom management trainings, and I really loved it. I loved the fact that they were presenting, and I saw something in that kind of was a light bulb in me.
Yeah.
And as a result of that really began the trajectory of this is really what I'm called to do in terms of transforming classrooms, transforming teachers, getting them to think differently about behavior, and then helping them shine because they want to teach their content. And that really was a defining moment for me.
Oh, that is good. So you're taking something negative, turn it around to positive, and really found that classroom training was like your thing.
Oh, that was my thing.
That was your
Yeah,
thing.
that was
your thing. So it's evolved from really being a teacher in the classroom to now coaching educators at scale. So how has that journey been?
That journey is almost like a crock pot, if you will. Growing up, my mother, she would make a chicken noodle soup. You got a little chicken, you got a little celery, you got some carrots, you got some bay leaf. And so for me, it's been a combination of a lot of good, a lot of challenges, a lot of bad. But in the end, the chicken noodle soup for me is gratitude. So the journey for me, although I've had all these mixed bag of experiences in this crock pot, although it's been kind of pushed to the side and kind of slow baked and slow cooked, what's come out of it is a sense of gratitude. And when I'm sharing in audiences and sharing with staff, I really want them to sense that gratitude, even though I'm training them on better strategies and better ways that they can kind of interact with their students. So the journey has been very much that. Although it's been kind of slow going, I'm grateful for where I am and grateful for the opportunity to share with others because I believe that transformation and the message that I have to share with them is truly transformational. If they can embrace it, it will translate into their classroom.
And so you were a teacher. What grade did you start and what were you teaching
So
to where you are now?
When I first started, I was a music teacher pre-K to 6.
Oh.
So I had the little babies all the way to
Okay, yes.
And at that time, I was in a split position and I was on a rolling cart and I had all these little instruments. And of course, this is a time of records and cassette tapes. And so you can imagine this big cart with all these different things and you had a half hour of lunch, maybe an hour worth of prep. So all day long, you're going from classroom to classroom, and on certain days I was split between 2 schools. And so in the beginning, it was helter-skelter. So we're going back almost 30 years. I mean, the classroom has evolved, schedules have evolved since that time. But
You're still K through 12 though.
and still K through 12 at that time. Then I matriculated to become a middle school music teacher because I really wanted to do choirs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a little bit more challenging music. And then matriculated later on to a high school choir director because I really wanted to do like the trips and taking the kids on all the excursions and you know, wonderful things like that and festivals. You know, that was really a great experience, and we won some awards. So I was really excited about the opportunity to do that. And then matriculated, then became an assistant principal elementary school, assistant principal at high school. I oversaw alternative school for some time.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have a myriad of experiences, but then what I've been able to do is collect all those experiences as a result of what I'm doing now transformationally through SB Entertainment and help teachers really command the stage, as we like to say, motivate, activate, and elevate their instructional practices to move those classrooms from outrageous to outstanding.
I love that. I love that. So you have really had the whole gamut from K to 6 to middle school to high school.
Yes, yes.
So you're known for really helping teachers create high-performing, engaged students. What's the biggest mistake you really see educators make when trying to boost classroom engagement?
The biggest mistake educators make is assumption. They assume students should know how to behave. And if we think about it, the same thing that we do when we take a player that we're trying to translate into a pro basketball player, hockey player, tennis player, we have to take them as a blanket slate and teach them what we might call expert behaviors and expert skills. The problem is many teachers think students should know by now. They should know how to walk into the classroom. They should know how to sit down. They should know how to sharpen a pencil. They should know by now. But the same way you want to teach that math, that social studies, you're the expert, you have to be the expert as relates to the behavior in my classroom. And so I often use this analogy where I talk to teachers about your restaurant. Your classroom is your restaurant, and you have to teach people how to behave in your restaurant. And so what I would challenge teachers to do is, what am I assuming that's taking classroom instructional time in my classroom? You know, if you have to teach students, this is how we talk to one another in my classroom, show them the perfect, show them the erroneous way to do it, even show them ways that you don't even want them to experiment with it. Show them the gamut. Make sure that you monitor that. I have a method that you have heard about called the ATM method. Assume nothing, teach everything, and then model and monitor. And so therefore, when we talk about really what it is that teachers are doing wrong, is if they can erase assumption and teach behaviors in the same way you teach math, in the same way you teach science, social studies, whatever your content area, you will find that you'll get your time back. You'll find your relationships with your students will be better, but most importantly, when it comes down to formative and summative assessments, you'll find that your data is going to overwhelmingly improve because you have created this environment where you have this community and the kids are collaborating with you instead of working against you.
So the ATM method, I love that.
The ATM method.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
We want the teachers to cash in.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that. I like that. So that framework. So we hear a lot about the struggles in education today: teacher burnout, student disengagement, even defunding the schools. So what's the one power move teachers can make right now to shift their classroom to be more dynamic for the better?
Just build relationships, because you know relationships are going to outlast presidents, policies, picket lines. I have students today that will see me in the store and say, yo, Mr. Boyd, what's up? What's up? You know, you remember that poem we used to do at the beginning of your class? And all those kind of, so those relationships outlast. When I even think about, you know, maybe some of the internal things and the political things that were happening at those times, you know, it feels like the sky is falling. You know, particularly when we look at this current administration, you know, everyone feels like the sky is falling, but I would encourage students to keep first things first, keep the main thing, build relationships with students, because those relationships will outlast whatever we're going to be continuing with over the next 4 years.
That's true.
And we know that the pendulum in politics kind of swings every 4 years, every 8 years anyway. And so focus on what matters, and that's really building high quality relationships with students that's going to translate with them for the rest of their lives.
That is good. That is good. So if you had one message to put on a billboard for teachers across the country, what would it be?
Be great no matter what.
I love it.
Be great no matter what. I mean, those students need you to be great. When you are not feeling well, be great. When you're not sure what you're teaching, be great. When you're questioning what you're doing, just be great. And be there and be present.
Be present.
And be present, because students, they're going through so much. The mental health crisis, as we know, has really been exacerbated by the pandemic. And we know that schools now are trying to bring in a lot of extra providers. There's been an increase in social workers in schools now to provide those particular services that students need, therapeutic services. And so, but you may not be a therapist, you may not be a psychiatrist, you may not be a psychologist, but you know what? You can just be present and do the best that you can to be there and be a scaffolding for these kids who are really going through so much in their personal lives, and bring it to school. This is the only place that for 6.5 hours a day that they're going to somewhat be safe. So why not be safe around you? And why not connect with you?
I love that, being connected. So you're working on a book.
Yes, I am.
So it'll be out this year. Can you divulge the name? I think I kind of said it in the open, but you can.
Yes. So we have a training that we put together and released in 2022 called Contagious Teaching. And so now we're going to convert that to a book and make that available. Contagious Teaching is a training we put together that really ask the question, what's the secret sauce of a master teacher? What is it that a master teacher does that is that it factor? And so there are 4 things that we came up through our research that when we actually looked at different evaluation and observation models, comparing and contrasting them, we found there were 4 things that were consistent from California to Hawaii to New York or wherever. And these 4 things are what we call the 4 C's: connection, content, context, and containment. And so connection just had to do with relationships. Context has to do with really understanding who's in front of you, student-wise, and then using that context to inform your content. The content is the explicit instruction piece, where we really help teachers teach based on the quality of instruction versus the quantity of time. And then finally, there is containment, which is really talking about how student engagement helps them to contain what you want them to retain. So if we think about important. A container, right?
Yes.
You know, so when we increase that engagement, the retention of knowledge goes up. And so contagious teaching is really a wraparound those 4 C's that we're communicating to our audience to say, hey, if you do these 4 things consistently, you'll be a master teacher, or what we're calling a contagious teacher.
Yes, and you're taking classroom from outrageous to outstanding.
That's right.
That's it. I love it. I love it. So how can educators or school leaders connect with you and, you know, bring your expertise to their schools, and where can they book you for keynotes and trainings?
I would love for them to go to my website at www.iamstephenboyd.com. Also on social media at iamstephenboyd, both on Instagram and on Facebook, and on LinkedIn, I am Stephen Boyd Now. On LinkedIn. And you can connect with me on all those platforms.
And I think on YouTube it is
I am Stephen Boyd Now.
Good. Very good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
This
has been really good.
Thank you.
So, Stephen, this has been an incredible conversation. I just really love it. You've given educators, parents, and students so much to think about when it comes to engagement, motivation, and truly transforming education. You know, I love your passion for taking classrooms from outrageous to outstanding, and that's really exactly the kind of impact we need right now. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us. And for those of you watching, if you want to learn more about Stephen's work and how to bring his game-changing strategies to your school or your organization, be sure to follow him at iamstephenboyd.com and check out his resources. That's a wrap for today's episode of Expert Insight. Remember, leadership and learning go hand in hand. So stay inspired, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.